This episode is sponsored by Two Fussy Blokes. Two Fussy Blokes supply a range of top quality brushes, rollers, mini rollers, and they all deliver excellent paint pickup and release for a superior finish. They now also stock their own range of interior and exterior fillers. The Talking Tradesman podcast would like to offer our sincere thanks to Two Fussy Blokes for supporting the podcast and helping to spread mental health awareness in the construction industry. Thank you. Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Talking Tradesman. Today in the studio with me, I have the man himself, the foxy one, Kris Devos.
How you doing, mate?
Cheers, mate. Let's talk.
Okay, let's go.
Mate, first of all, massive appreciation for making the effort to come all the way down.
Across. Yeah.
Come across.
I'm East Midlands.
Right.
So I've actually come...
Is it still classed as Midlands where you are?
Yeah, Grantham, Midlands.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But got to be light on the... People say to me sometimes, where you're from, and I say the Midlands, and it's like vast, isn't it?
Yeah, mate,
like...
it's the whole middle of the country, isn't it? Yeah, it's like... it goes even as far as Skegness. I've heard people say Skegness. Yeah, I mean, that's like right on the edge, isn't it?
You can easily do 2 to 2.5 hours across the Midlands, kind of. That's the thing.
I think it's what proximity are you to East Midlands Airport? Yeah. Because I'm only like 45 minutes from East Midlands Airport.
I think I'm about an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Hour and 40. How long did it take you to get here?
Like 2.5 hours.
There we go. Yeah. Geography lesson.
Yeah.
Well, as you guys have no doubt seen Kris about, because the man seems to be pretty much everywhere on socials at the moment.
Look, I'm here.
I thought today would be a great opportunity to get you in and actually have a chat a little bit more about the man behind the social media man, as it were.
Yeah.
Find out a little bit about you, how you got into the trade, how you're finding things now, because you're obviously working in a demographic of the trades that is quite unique with all the social stuff that you're doing.
Yeah, it's different.
And that carries its own pressures and things to do with mental health, which is obviously the underlying tone of the podcast.
I mean, it is literally Mental Health Awareness Week this week, isn't it?
It is indeed.
So this couldn't be better time.
It is Mental Health Awareness Week as we record, although this won't go out on Mental Health Awareness Week. But yeah, it is. Yeah, very apt.
Yeah.
So let's, as we do, mate, stories have a start to them. Let's start at the beginning and go back to young Kris, I guess. Tell me a little bit about you and your family life, as it were.
It's not a nice story, really. I mean, like, I was always a very happy kid, but there's been just a lot of tragedy in my family. And I don't think people will know that. Like... I think I come off as like always happy and silly and messing about, but there's a lot of just every year, mate, there's been something tragic happen. And I know this is the same with everybody. Like everybody, everybody's story is tragic on some level, but I think that's what pushes me towards what I do for sure. But yeah, I grew up in Newark, just outside of Lincoln. And then my parents split up when I was younger. So my time was shared between Newark and Grantham.
What age were you, if you don't mind me asking?
I was 6.
Okay, I was 8 when my parents split. So yeah, similar story.
And you turned out to be a decorator as well.
I did as well, yeah.
There must be something in the water. But yeah, it was, I don't know, it's just weird. It was a lot of moving around, like all over the place. You never really feel like you're at home, do you?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like my mum's was my home, but it was my stepdad's house. So I was never in my house as far as I was concerned.
So you stayed with your mum?
Yeah, I stayed with my mum.
So I did the opposite, mate. I stayed with my dad.
Yeah.
But we had, I guess, what was the family home. Yeah. My mum had an affair and left, which is quite rare.
Yeah. It's not normally the standard procedure, is it? But
left the kids with my dad, me and my sister.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that was the family home. Now, obviously, with what happened there between them, the house got sold. I have not felt that I've had a home since then.
Yeah, no, I haven't either, mate. And you never really sort of like conceptualize it, do you? But when I started dating girls as I got older and I started meeting their families, I was like, this is weird. You fucking all speak to each other. Yeah. You all talk, and there's like this unit that, like, if something happens, they went back home, like, and their parents like coddled them. I mean, my mum did that, and my dad did that, and they were always there. But it was always, I wasn't going back to this like safety net, and it made me grow up very quickly. Like, I started having to fend for myself at an early age, and it's no fault. My parents did a great job given the circumstance. But that was the problem, you know, and that's the problem. I'm sure you felt that as well. Like, they did okay, and they did the best they can do, and I'm very grateful for my parents. I love them both very much, but like, that was just the cards that were dealt, and they did their best with it. But it's not the same, mate. Not being part of a family hub is just not, you know, with your parents, both your mum and your dad in the same house. It does something to you.
Was it just you, Kris, as a siblings?
No, I've got a sister, and then I've got 3 step brothers and sisters. So there was 5 of us.
A lot of you guys, yeah.
And I think that's probably why I'm such a attention seeker, because I just didn't get that attention as a child. As much as my mum tried and my dad tried, you can only do so much when there's that many kids. And then on my dad's side, there was another 2 kids. There was a brother and a sister on that side as well. So there was loads of us, mate. And you just can't give the kids that attention that they need at that exact age when I needed it the most, you know. And that's why I grew up to be such an attention seeker, and I still am now. But I know it, and I'm aware of it, and actually, it's probably what propels me towards doing the things that I do. But that was definitely the start of it. Yeah.
I think that's, again, it's one of the reasons I was so interested to have the conversation with you and get to know the person behind the social media thing, because like you said, people see the outward, the bubbly, you know, and the extroverted character that you put on socials. And to a degree, we all put a character on socials. Yeah. But I think it will be quite beneficial for people to actually know the person behind that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? For you and for them, you know, to get that understanding. It's gives an empathy to things.
Yeah, well, I think it's why I'm so silly and so daft, and I'm always trying to make people laugh. Like, you know, growing up, I don't think there was a year where something disastrous didn't happen. Like, if it wasn't, my mum had clinical depression. I was a carer for her.
Oh, really?
My dad had 3 heart attacks. All my grandparents died. Like, just every single year. It's almost a running joke in my family that, like, what's it going to be this year? I mean, last year my stepmom died. This year my father-in-law died in a car accident. Like, every single year of my life, something bad happens.
I'm sorry to hear that.
I think probably that's why I'm so silly and stuff, because, like, I know what it's like to be sad.
Yeah. I get that, man. I get that. I'm sorry to hear that, Kris.
It's just, I mean, it's fine, but that's why I guess I am like that, you know.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. It's you hear this with a lot of comedians, funnily enough.
It's tears of a clown, isn't it?
Yeah. I can't remember exactly who I listened to. It might have been it was Jimmy Carr. I don't know. And I remember that was their sort of origin into comedy. It was that their mother had suffered with depression, and they were always trying to make their mum laugh.
That is literally my story.
Really?
Yeah. I was a carer for my mum when I was 15. You know, she I don't know if you know a lot about clinical depression, but it's a level of depression that most people don't understand. You don't know who you are. Like, she would wake up, she didn't know who I was. She didn't know who my stepdad was. Like, she had no grasp on reality whatsoever. You know, she'd try to put her phone into a credit card machine. She'd run away down the street. We'd have to go and get her back. And I think I took solace in the fact that, like, I was the only one that could bring her back, you know, mentally. So I would put her to bed every night. And I would be with her during the day, and then I'd go and work and come back home and do the same thing. And that actually made me and my stepdad bond a lot closer, you know, like that period of our life. We never really got on before that, but like when that happened, we really stuck together.
That's tough, man, at 15.
Yeah, man, it was shit. And it was like a long time as well before we got her back. And the medication started working. She's still on it now, and she's fine. Yeah. She's great now. But it was like losing your mum in front of you. Like it was like she died, but I had to see her every day. So I was just living in this, like, I don't know, like limbo. I've lost my mum. She's not there. She doesn't even know who I am, but she's right in front of me. And it went on for, well, it was a year, like over a year, before it started to get even remotely better. It got really, really bad. I mean, she probably wouldn't want me talking about this, but there was a night where she came at my stepdad with a knife, and I had to like wrestle her to the ground. I had this screaming upstairs with my stepdad. I never heard him make this noise before. And I run upstairs and she's on the bed with a knife because she's just gone.
Yeah.
You know, mentally she was gone. So that was a lot to deal with at that age. And then from then, you know, I doted on my mum and like just tried to keep her happy all the time by being silly. It happened once when I was younger. This has happened before, when I was like 4 or 5, and I don't really remember it. I think probably for good reason. Your brain blocks these things out, doesn't it? But I remember like her telling me about it growing up, and she said, "Oh, but you know, before it happened, you would run away, you'd mess about, and you'd scream, and then when that happened, I never left her side. Like I was locked to her, and I was such a good boy from that happening, but I don't remember it. I was just a kid, you know."
But there's something on a subconscious level there, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've studied psychology, so it's almost like the root cause of a lot of our behaviours starting.
Why do you think you start? Because I've read a lot of psychology books, and I've gone very deep into that. And actually, when you start understanding things too much, it can get too much, can't it? Because you go, "Oh shit, that's why I do that," and then you're like, "But is it because you're searching within you for an answer? It's not just a general curiosity. It can't, because I have done that as well, very, very deeply, and really, really psychoanalyze myself. I've drove myself insane with it, trying to figure out, you know, what makes me tick. What is? Have you ever struggled with addiction?
No, mate. No, not as I don't think so. No, I've never. Drugs has not been my thing. Openly, yeah. No, drugs has not been my thing. First time I ever touched drugs, I was 31 in Mexico, and I smoked a spliff. That was it, right? So that was the first time I ever touched drugs. But I did drink from an early age.
Yeah.
So alcohol was a thing. I don't think I was ever addicted, but I was certainly toxic with how I used to handle it, mate.
Yeah.
For me, studying psychology was self-therapy. That was what that was.
That's what I did, mate.
I was engaging, I guess, in a lot of toxic behaviour. I went through a relationship breakdown. I've been married twice. I'm on my second marriage. First marriage broke down. I was 31. 2 kids with my ex-partner, and I had 2.5 years of legal battles with the kids. And that was the first time where I had to pay attention to my mental health. Yeah. Well, I've said this many times, but I was extremely ignorant of mental health until then. Yeah. I'd have been the bloke that sat here and went, "I ain't got mental health, mate." You know? Yeah. Now I understand it. But there were a few things within that: high stress, high pressure. I was suffering with anxiety, panic attacks over court cases and things.
You don't even realise as well, my first experience of anxiety, I didn't even know that was what I was dealing with, because nobody fucking spoke about it. Like nobody on the building sites or ever spoke about. So you're having these feelings, and you're like, "I want to die," and then, but you don't know why, and then you just put it down to a bad week. But then the next week it's still bad, and it's still bad, and it gets worse and worse and worse.
I was really lucky, mate, in that around about the time where I was really struggling, I met who is now my wife. Yeah, and she recognised it. And she pointed it out to me. And initially, mate, I was resistant to it. Yeah. So she was like, "You know, it sounds like you've got anxiety." I was like, "I haven't got fucking anxiety. I'm fine." Yeah. She was like, "Well, you're not." You know?
Yeah, no.
And when she pointed out, and she basically broke it down, was like, "You're feeling like this?" I was like, "Yeah." "Are you feeling like that?" "Yeah." You know, and it was stuff like my chest would go tight, my heart would race, I'd flush red, my hands would shake, loss of appetite, bad stomach, bad sleep, all this stuff, all the stereotypical. I was still in denial. There was anything wrong. I was like, "Yeah, I'm just a bit stressed," you know. But eventually admitted to myself that I was struggling. Yeah. And what I did to handle that, I probably should have gone for therapy, but didn't. What I did is I jumped into education. So I started studying psychology, studying why I feel like this, what the body's reaction was to this. And then I got a passion for it and jumped into a rabbit hole. So I studied psychology, evolutionary psychology, philosophy, the ancient Greeks, Buddhism, all this, and then culminated in actually taking it like official, if you like.
Yeah.
And I'm halfway through a BSc honours degree in psychology.
That's amazing.
So
that's fantastic.
but it was all based around self-therapy, mate, trying to work out myself, to understand my thought processes, why I do what I do, why I behaved like I behaved.
Yeah.
And it's been like 9 years of growth, to be honest. That's how I've self-analysed, and therapy and self-reflection.
That's good.
It's been all of that for me, mate.
It is mental that humans are the only animals that like want to understand themselves so much. And you're taking that conceptual thought, taking it outside of your body, looking at yourself, and then analysing your own bit. It's mental that you can do that in your own brain, isn't it?
Yeah.
But you can, and you can understand yourself better. But I do think there's speaking to people is massive.
If you mind me asking, have you had therapy and that yourself?
No, I've not had therapy. I've had a lot of good friends that I can open up to. And do you know what? Here's the cure for people that want to kill themselves, people that feel that low that they just don't want to be alive anymore. The cure for that is another person telling you that they either feel the same way or they've felt the same way. Like, I know how you feel, brother, is the cure. Because when you're feeling like that, when you're feeling at your absolute lowest, you think that nobody else understands why you feel like that. And you think that nobody gets it and nobody understands your struggle. And just by somebody telling you, man, I know how you feel, it's like it snaps you out of that. And then you do one more day and you do one more day, and it gets better and it gets better. But that is the cure for it. Like, I've thought about this when people say, you just need to talk to someone. You just need to talk to someone. But what do you need to fucking say? What you can speak to somebody, but I could talk to you about golf. What's the actual deep down? What's the one word? What's the sentence that fixes you? And it's empathy. It's understanding somebody else's plight. That is the cure for mental illness. Is understanding. I think so. Anyway,
that's strong, mate. That's powerful.
Yeah.
I like that. And I agree. I fully agree. One of the things I've come to learn with doing the podcast, because when I started the podcast, I thought I was going to have problems getting men to come and talk. Not at all.
No,
Not at all, mate.
No, when it's one-on-one,
yeah,
and there's no ego attached, eventually you forget the cameras are on, don't you? You know, and you just start talking man to man. There is this good thing that men can do. I'm sure women could do it too, but I wouldn't know. I don't have that experience because I'm not a woman. But we can really relate to each other, like, and get deep into, you know, I mean, we could have a conversation about like pigeons and we could go deep on just the maddest stuff ever. I mean, I've had conversations with my mates about aliens and like anything you could think of and gone real crazy deep on it. You can do the same thing with your pals about how you feel.
Of course, man.
And like, bounce off each other and go, why did I do that? Well, maybe you did it because of this. Maybe it was because of that. Maybe it was because when you were younger, you never had this. And you can really break it down and like fix yourself.
You're right, yeah.
You know,
you don't. I mean, I'm a big advocate for therapy. I've never had it.
No, I've never actually gone and done that.
But with what you're describing, though, Chris, it's basically the same thing, mate.
Yeah,
it is therapy. It's just not with a professional.
It's not conventional, is it? No.
Having studied psychology, I've studied the counselling side of psychology. Most of that is actually just giving people a safe space to talk about themselves.
I've read a few books on it, and that is the premise of it. It's just asking questions and then letting people go and pausing long enough that they actually tell you how they really feel. 100%. Because when you speak to somebody, and you can try this, like if people are watching this, try this with your friends, ask them a question that you really want to know the answer to, and you really want an honest synopsis of how they feel. Ask them the question, and then when they've finished answering, don't speak and just look at them. The next sentence that comes out of the mouth will be the honest truth, because people people give you their stock answers. If you ask me a question about like my childhood, or you ask me a question about how I got into this, or why I did this, why I did that, I'll tell you my stock answer that I tell everyone. But if you just pause long enough, people will tell you how they really feel, because they know that you're looking for that more, and people fill in the gaps there, don't they?
It's learning to. So here's the thing. So I volunteer at Samaritans. Have done for about 18 months.
That's fantastic, mate. I love that.
Mate, it's brilliant. But one of the key skills it's taught me is how to listen.
Mm.
And it sounds like child's play that everyone can listen. No, you can hear.
Yeah.
But are you listening?
Yeah.
And learning to be comfortable in that silence while people are expressing themselves is uncomfortable for the listener to begin with.
Of course it is.
You learn that skill.
Yeah.
You know, and working at Samaritans, mate, it's been just eye-opening, because part of the whole thing with Samaritans is you don't give advice. You're not allowed to. It's like against the rules, as it were.
Yeah.
So when people ring to talk, you're not allowed to sit there and go, well, do this, try this, do that. It's not about that.
No, you've got to let them find it.
Just
themselves.
listening.
Yeah.
Just listening. Let people talk and just listen. And as you quite rightly said, it comes down to men do want to talk, but we have to feel that we have a safe place to do so, and somebody that's going to empathise.
Yeah.
And with what you said about people reaching out and saying, well, I know how you feel because I've been there. It intrigues me sometimes when you see a crowd of people, and I look around and I think, I wonder how many of these blokes have actually got to that point where they've considered, I want to end my life, but they've never told a soul. And they've worked and they've battled and they've fought those internal demons and they've come out the other side. But I bet you, I wouldn't want to know. I bet you it's close to 50-50, if not more.
I've tried to take my own life.
Right.
Yeah. I've slit both my wrists. That's why I've got my kids' names tattooed on them. To never do that again. But I've been that low. And I think that is very difficult for men to talk about, you know, because that's like a weakness, you know, and we do live in a society, whether we like it or not, where weakness is a real bad thing. And I think as well, women can say as much as they like, oh, that, you know, I like a man that's emotional. I like a man no, you don't. You like a man that's empathetic. You don't like a man that's emotional, because a man that's emotional is erratic, you know, unpredictable. They don't like that. They might say they do, but they don't. And actually, funnily enough, every time I've opened up to a woman and told them what I'm going through and like what I'm struggling, they'll take it so far and they'll understand so much, but then you'll give them the ick, and I go, ugh. And then you can't continue. Like whenever I've opened up too much to a woman and really told them how I feel, I've got this pushback, as if to say like, whoa, slow down there. You know, I never ever get that from a man, but that's obviously because there's no sexual tension. You know, there's nothing like below that. I've got friends that are girls that I can open up to, but even that, I don't think women are comfortable talking about it. I'm probably going to piss off all of my female audience right now, but I'm sorry, girls, I love you, but they just don't understand because they're not men. Just like I wouldn't understand. I can help girls or speak to women about their problems and stuff and give them advice. But I don't know what it's like to be a woman. I don't know what it's like to grow up, like how they grew up and understand their story.
I think there's a key difference there, Chris, isn't there? Because women do generally like offload to their friends on a regular basis. Yeah. And it never really, they don't hold things in like we do.
Yeah, that's true. Ironically, they're much better at expressing their emotions than we are. I wonder what, that's almost a stereotype, isn't it? But yeah, they are much better at that, aren't they?
And I think men, you know, we find it harder to trust as well. And to lay yourself vulnerable and trust somebody to. I was listening to, I think I was reading an article and it was talking about the difference between men and women and sort of offloading their emotions. And it was like a woman will go to a group or a friendship circle or moms at school, whatever it might be. That was very stereotypical, wasn't it? Moms at the school.
No, but you make it,
whatever group
for the sake of an argument.
And they will attempt to offload. And if they get pushed back and somebody doesn't really want to listen, they'll take it to the next group and try again. Yeah. Whereas for a man, it's such a big thing and a big trust thing to offload that if we try to offload to somebody and get pushed back, you're just going to keep it. Well, I tried that.
Well, I'm never going to speak about that again. Yeah.
Fuck that. Ain't doing that. And that's one of the massive issues with construction. Yeah. With the trades. And the bravado and the stigma. And again, that's something that prevents lads from talking to each other.
Yeah, you must have been on building sites before where you've like even quietly broached a subject and instantly got the piss taken out of you for it. And you're like, fuck, I don't know, why did I say that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's happened on multiple occasions. But also as well, you just sort of take that on the chin, don't you? Like, and you go, oh, yeah, what am I talking about? Silly prick, yeah. I'm a pussy.
But do you know what though, Chris? Sometimes, mate, in that moment, what you actually need is just someone to listen, isn't it? I'm all for, because I put a social media post out last week from one of my guests, and it was relating. So it was Tom, actually, Tom Harrison. Big shout out to him. And he was talking about an instance where he'd been in a canteen on site, and there were lads there, and they were openly joking about suicide and but not banter, but taking the piss. There was a reference of if they were a trained driver, they'd go and tell people where to jump to get time off work, basically.
Yeah.
Now, Tom had been through a situation where his mum took her own life.
Yeah.
And he had sat on it. He hadn't said anything at the time. And then later down the line, a week or two down the line, he'd approached these lads and said, look, I just want to let you know that what you were saying the other day is out of order. I lost my mum to suicide, and there's people that could overhear that. There's young lads that take their life every week on sites. Have a bit of respect. And that apologised, been very embarrassed and all the rest of it. And I'd put the clip out there, and, as they are massively well received in general, but there was still those comments that popped up going, well, it's just banter. You should be allowed to banter about anything.
And also, to some level of degree, I agree with them. Like, you can joke about anything, but that doesn't mean that people aren't allowed to get offended. Like, you could have, let me think of an example. Say you've got a broken leg. You're not going to really find jokes about broken legs very funny, are you? Because you got a fucking broken leg.
Depends how you broke it.
Yeah, exactly. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So, well, let's say a Mexican cartel broke it. It's not going to be that funny, is it? So, and comedy, and we call it comedy. We're talking about idiots in a cafeteria, but the bigger picture is, you can joke about everything, and people are allowed to be offended by anything. You're allowed to not like that. Nothing's off the table. You can joke about anything, but if you've offended somebody, I make jokes about stupid stuff, and I offend people all the time. But I don't do it because I want to offend people. I do it because I want to make people laugh. So, if a byproduct of that is offending somebody, I'll go and apologise and say, mate, I didn't realise that you were going through this, and I'm really sorry if that offended you. And then it's done, isn't it?
I think, yeah, absolutely, mate. And I agree with you 90% of the way. 90% of the way. I do believe that, or in fact, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
But I believe the context has to be,
of course,
in line.
Yeah. And there is a lot. There's not a line, but moral society sets its own line, and it changes all the time. What we're allowed to joke about changes all the time.
Yeah.
And if you're going to be a joker, you need to understand how that works, because if not, you're just going to go around offending people for no good reason. There are funny jokes about suicide, but, whether we like it or not, mate, there are jokes that would make me laugh about suicide that to some people might not find funny, but definitely what they were doing in that cafeteria was just, well, they're not comedians, they're just idiots, aren't they? So they're not like,
it's scene and setting, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
a little bit like if you go to a comedy show, you're going to see a comedian.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know that everything they say is going to be a joke.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean. It's like scene and setting. You wouldn't do certain things in certain places. But I guess what I was trying to get at with the overarching comment is that there is still that bravado on site at times.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
I'm not quite sure what can be done to change it.
People forget that building sites are workplaces as well. Like, would you go into a fucking office and talk like that?
Exactly.
Would you, mate? You'd be reprimanded instantly. Yeah. You'd be fired. Like, some of the stuff that happens on building sites, I think, fucking hell, mate. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, even still now, like, apprentices are getting shoved inside of cement mixers, and like some of the stuff you see, you just think, Jesus, man, this is 2024, and like people are still getting viciously bullied on building sites.
Yeah,
it's bad.
Well, you're right there, mate. I mean, it's a whole other subject, isn't it? But the whole apprentice thing, and like you described it, is correct. It's vicious bullying.
Mm.
But because it's an apprentice, a lot of the time now, it's like, oh, well, we've all been through that.
Yeah, yeah.
Passage of
I know,
rights
and
and all
it's
that crap.
sort of hazing thing.
Mm.
But I think it's all connected to that sort of bravado on a building site, which I do like. You know, I like that banter, and I like that we have an industry where you can actually be yourself, or you know, some level of degree of yourself.
You don't have to mind your P's and Q's like you would
Yeah,
elsewhere.
no, not at all. But
it's a hard one, isn't it, mate? I've had this chat a few times where I've said, given the nature of the podcast and trying to address the mental health crisis within construction, because it is a crisis.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, for sure, mate. Overarchingly, probably one of the most suicide rates in any industry.
It is.
You know,
it is the most.
Is it?
It is. Yeah.
That's interesting to know.
The statistics are, mate, 75% of all people that take their own life are men. If you're in construction, you are 4 times more likely than the average to take your own life. So by being male and in construction, you're 7 times more likely than average to end your own life. And it is the worst industry by demographic in the UK. I believe it makes up something like 15% of all people that take their own life.
Yeah.
And they're horrible stats. And I don't like talking about them really, but I feel I have to.
You have
really
to
put out there
absolutely
how bad it is.
Yeah, yeah.
On average, there's 2 people in construction every day that take their own life. That's 10 families.
So today,
every week,
2 people, just like me and you, have topped themselves.
I haven't gone home. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or, you know, there's 10 families every week that are impacted by men taking their own life.
Yeah. I think everybody, certainly everybody watching, but everybody knows somebody or has been personally affected by suicide.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah.
You know,
I know personally 2 lads that I've known from my hometown that I grew up with over the last 18 months have took their own lives.
Yeah.
One of my previous guests, Bryn, who was an electrician, he knew the same 2 lads, and they just did the 3 Peaks Challenge to raise money for the charity Mind for them. Massive shout out to them again. I think they raised 40 odd grand. But he knew, I think he said 5 people.
I know more people that have committed suicide than have even had cancer. Yeah.
It's the biggest killer of men under 50 as well, Chris. So, and it's another point I've made a few times where suicide is the biggest killer of men under 50. I feel that if that was anything else, imagine it was fishing. Yeah. There would be like government legislation, fishing licenses, safety tests, you know, and all this to prevent it.
Yeah.
But because it's people taking their own life and there's that stigma and nobody wants to talk about it, it's taboo.
Yeah.
It seems to just get brushed under the carpet.
Well, I'll tell you why, mate, because the victims aren't here to tell their story. Every single person who's killed himself is gone. And they're not there to fight for it. So when the murder inquiry comes in and they go, so who's to blame? He's in a fucking box, mate. He's gone. Yeah. He's not there to defend himself, and that's why it's never. You got the families and stuff, and they can say, oh, it did this and it did this, but they just go, where's the guy? He's not here. If you hurt yourself fishing, you go straight to the council and go, right, I did this fishing. You need to implement some more, and they get sued, and then things would change. But everybody who kills himself is gone.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Yeah.
No,
you're right, mate. It's a very valid point. There's no comeback. There's nothing to push that change, to push that measure.
And it's also like, unfortunately, from the government's perspective, it's like they can just go, well, yeah, but look at the life you've led. I mean, the life I've led. If you read it off a bit of paper, you'd be like, fucking hell, give this guy a fucking break. It's just tragedy. And they go, well, it makes sense, doesn't it? You need some help. There isn't enough help as well. Like,
there isn't, mate. I mean, again, we could do a whole podcast on that. The funding's been cut consecutively for years.
Yeah.
Even
though there's more people.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I learned, Chris, studying social science, was that the time in the UK where the biggest amount of budget was allocated to mental health, when would you think that would be?
I mean, I would think it would be now.
You would, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Because awareness seems bigger than ever. More people are talking about it, which is great. 1945, I believe it was.
Wow.
So back
Is that relative percentage?
Yeah, percentage
Okay.
of population.
Jesus Christ.
The reason for that is the big change that came about. There's a little bit of statistics for you. But when the UK had an asylum system, so every county used to have an asylum. The asylums were big stately homes. They were fully staffed. They were residential.
Yeah.
They used to cost a fortune, but it was requirement that every county had one.
Yeah.
So, and the asylum, everyone thinks asylums, they think, abuse, people in white suits and that. It didn't start that way.
No.
That was the end of it.
And also, that's just what's left from history.
Yeah.
I spoke to my dad about this, and he remembers his dad talking about the asylums and stuff. They were just a safe place to
the word asylum literally means safety.
Yeah.
To seek asylum somewhere is to seek safety. And people used to check themselves in.
Yeah.
It was like a retreat almost when they first got launched. That was when the biggest proportion of budget in the UK was put towards mental health.
Yeah.
The minute they changed that, shut the asylums and reverted to care in the community, the budget's been slowly cut.
So answer me this question. Would you say there's more or less, inverted comments, and I put myself in this category, crazy people now? Do you think there's more or less?
Ooh.
Well, I mean, statistically, there's more of us.
There's more people, so the problem is definitely bigger. I believe mental health is a bigger issue now.
So there's no more asylums?
No.
Where are those crazy people now?
In the community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just walking around.
In the community.
Affecting people as well. We don't have a massive homeless problem in this country, but those people are just out there affecting people. I mean, we used to help them, and now we just let them go wild. Because how can you possibly tell somebody what they should and shouldn't do?
One of the things that amazed me, mate, when I started volunteering at Samaritans, my biggest shock was the amount of people because there's a difference between mental health and mental illness.
Yes.
Everyone has mental health. Mental illness are conditions. So, to name but one, schizophrenia, bipolar, things like that. They're mental illnesses that require, treatment and all the rest of it. My biggest surprise when I started volunteering at Samaritans was the sheer volume of people using the service who had mental illnesses that were referred to Samaritans by the NHS professionals. Crisis teams. I had one circumstance where somebody called and they had rung their crisis team to say that they were contemplating taking their own life. They were told to ring Samaritans, and somebody from the crisis team would ring them back in about 3 days.
Yeah. That's scary, isn't it?
Thinking of ending their own life and told, we'll call you back in 3 days. We're busy. Now, that's not throwing shade at the NHS, because I believe they're hugely under-equipped to deal with the mental health crisis in the UK. But to refer people to effectively what's a charity organisation is crazy to me.
Yeah, no, it's mental.
I was astounded by the amount of people. And doing that role as a volunteer, you do speak to some severely mentally ill people who are in full psychosis at times. Their grasp on reality is entirely gone, and they're at home.
Yeah.
And that's quite concerning. And I believe now it's, if people aren't a risk to themselves or others, or deemed to be, probably more so a risk to others. I think risk to self is minimised.
Yeah.
Then there's no intervention.
Yeah, no. I mean, when my mum's got schizophrenia, so that's the crux of it. Obviously, the breakdown was just a part of it.
Yeah.
But we had this thing called the crisis team, and they came. Initially, they were coming once a day, but then their care just stopped. And I would ring them and be like, "It ain't got any better,
Yeah.
Like, if anything, it's got worse." And you've seen that I'm handling it. I'm 15. Like, where's the aftercare? Like, where's the help? They basically come around and go, "You've got this," and that's it. That was all we got. They didn't do anything. They just came round and checked and then left. There was no like, "Listen, Kris, I know that you're really struggling with this. Here's some information. Let's teach you. Let's give you the tools that you need to be able to help your mum." Sit down with my stepdad and say, "Look, mate, okay, we've been through this before. We've met," because of course they have. I mean, how many people with schizophrenia must they have dealt with? They know what to do. They didn't give us any information. They didn't say, oh, you should do this, try and keep her doing this, try and do that. It was just like, how are you? And I think that probably comes from a lack of I'm not blaming the people that came around, they're just doing their job. But I think that probably comes from a lack of training on their side. They're not given the tools that they're not given the tools that they need. Certainly back then, I mean, we're talking 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So it wasn't then. I don't know what it's like now, but
I think
I can't imagine it's got better if the budget's been reduced.
From what I've heard, it varies across the country. Response times. My sister-in-law is actually an NHS. She works in therapy and psychology, and that she does CBT therapy.
Yeah.
For the NHS, and she says, different councils, different wait times, different. So it varies where you live.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. But yeah, it's quite astounding to me that given the increased awareness on mental health, that actually the governmental response to it has been less than ever.
Yeah.
In fact, recently, Samaritans were campaigning at Parliament because the government cut funding to local suicide prevention charities.
Yeah.
Cut it.
Mad.
And there's this weird perception that the government are helping more and more. They're not.
No.
They're not at all. Fortunately, there are great organisations out there like Mind, like Samaritans, like the Lighthouse Club, who are doing invaluable work.
Yeah.
It's not through the government.
Yeah.
Which, to me, something needs to be done.
But as all men should do, we have a responsibility as men to protect and care. So it's not a case of what should they do? Let's do what we can do. And then set an example to them, because we'll embarrass them, won't we? We'll embarrass them into change. If what you're doing and what the Samaritan's doing, if you can, make a video and go, well, look, this is what we've done in the last year. This is what your government's done. Yeah. That's going to force change.
Do you know what, though, Chris? You say that. I think that the response to that would be, you're doing a great job. Carry on.
Yeah. Well, then we need funding.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
but you touched on it a bit there. I think the thing that we can do, because mate, I don't know what I can do to make the government help more. I've no idea. I'm just a bloke sat in a chair.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? The one thing that I can do is encourage all of us blokes and our friend circles to just be there as a safe place to listen, to instigate change within our own social groups,
I think all change should come that way. We've sort of lost this sense of community in our society. You used to care what your neighbours were doing. You used to look after each other, and there used to be like an appointed guy for your neighbourhood that settled disputes. If there was like a fence that needed to go up or something, that guy would decide, okay, well, I see where you're both coming from, but actually that's his land. It's his responsibility. That's how we used to work things out. But then we outsourced that, so there was no face to it. Like, you'd send a letter to your local government, and then that would go off to the main government, and then they'd make the decision. And it's like, then you ain't even got to speak to your neighbour. And now we've lost that, but we've lost it in so many different ways as well. I mean, like, when I was younger, and this is like just being an old man, like, oh, I liked it when I was younger. Of course you liked it when you were younger, because you was young. But when I was younger, you'd play out, and like, you'd know all of your neighbours, and at night you'd sit outside and you'd chat to each other. And like, I lived in like a little cul-de-sac, well, not a cul-de-sac, but like a small community, and you'd see them and you'd play with the local kids. And like, my kids don't even go out. I mean, when I was 7, my daughter's 7, I was going out when I was 7, like playing at the park, and I'd come back when the street lights go off, and she just got no interest in that.
How old are you, Chris?
I'm 30.
30. Okay, so I'm 39. I've got 10 years on you, mate.
I didn't think you were. I thought you were about the same age as me.
I love you, mate.
Well, mate, like, what's going on with? Do you dye that?
Yes, I do dye that. Yeah, absolutely.
There you go. There's the exclusive.
This is what happens, Chris, when your missus is a hairdresser.
Yeah, no, it does look good, mate. Because I'm already getting greys now.
Oh, mate,
I'll be salt and pepper in a year, mate.
I've got no reservation. I dye my hair. I was going grey at 18.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, so the sides are completely gone. My issue, I don't actually mind the grey hair, the silver fox, as it were. Like, I don't mind that. My problem is I'm like two-tone. So I'm grey at the side, but I've got colour on top, and I just look like a fucking Neapolitan ice cream or something. It's the same with the beard, mate. I dye the beard because I've got two like white.
Do you know what, you can tell that your missus is a hairdresser, because when somebody dyes their hair and they do it themselves, it's like a colour that's not even possible. It's like purple. You're like, mate, your hair don't look like that. It's so obvious. But actually, I mean, when I asked you, I was like, no, I don't know, actually.
No, full disclosure, mate. Yeah, it's the only thing I do. I mean, Christ, mate, she's tried to jab me with Botox and everything. But yeah, no, you got to do the little bits you can.
If she, mate, I'd have a bit of Botox. Like,
she's tried to stab me with that stuff many times. I can hook you up, Chris. Don't worry about
that.
Go
for it, lad. Yeah, I'd do
You're
that.
always up at the On the Tools office. So my wife she's got her own salon. We've got a salon.
Well, tell her I'll do a little bit of selfless promotion for her.
Chris, she's not far, mate. She's in South Birmingham. So next time you're at the OTT office.
I was supposed to be there today, but the owner of On the Tools had a skydiving accident. So
he's had what? Sorry,
skydiving accident. Adam.
A sky.
Yeah.
I mean,
thoughts and prayers are with his family.
Is he okay?
He's got the shits.
Oh, fuck yeah. I was going to say then, Chris, Jesus Christ, the only kind of skydiving accident I can think of is kind of terminal.
Dead, yeah. You don't have like a close call, do you?
Yeah, no, not really.
Yeah, no, he's got the shits, mate, yeah. He'll love me telling them that. Yeah.
And that's
for Adam, by the way, that's for sending me a voice note talking in graphic detail about it while I was stood next to my 7-year-old daughter. And yes, I was stood next to somebody. At the end of the voice note, he goes, I hope you're not stood with anyone. And my daughter's like, Daddy, who's that?
Get well soon, Adam.
So there you go, yeah, from your skydiving accident.
There we go. Fantastic.
Yeah. But yeah, I know I was supposed to go there today, but that's been cancelled. But obviously, the show must go on. How could I deprive you of my genius?
I appreciate that, mate. Even more so now that you've come up just for this. So, but
That's
where were we, mate? Where were we in the grand scheme of things?
In the timeline, God, we've gone off. I told you we'd go off tangent, mate. This is going to be the doesn't stop talking tradesman today, because
Chris, I think these things are important though. That's why I like it. Don't know what the listeners think, but I like it being unstructured because you can follow those threads. You can pull a thread and go with it. You don't have to keep,
definitely.
Obviously, need to find out a bit about you. So we'll go back to. I mean, you've told me a bit about your family and all that kind of thing. Maybe let's go to how did you get into the trade?
So, actually, I never went straight into it. So my dad owns a big. My dad owns he did own a big construction company. They did school contracts.
Construction in what industry?
Building. So he would build new schools. He would build new blocks on schools. They're all school contracts. Big jobs.
Can I just ask as well, Chris? Because I keep forgetting to ask, mate. Chris, was it Christian? What's your full name?
So my name is Christian Johannes Devos, and the reason
What's the heritage?
Dutch.
Okay.
And
right.
Devos.
Yeah.
De means the, and Vos means fox. So my name is literally Christian the Fox.
Okay, hence Foxy.
I've
seen the tattoo, mate, so I assumed but now I know, fucking hell, getting all the answers.
So that's where it comes from. Then my family crest is a big fox as well.
I'd assume Greek, mate. I thought
I get that a lot because like Delia, or
you're quite sort of like quite dark.
But I get that a lot. Tropical man, mate.
That's it.
Why.
Yeah. Okay. So now I know a bit.
But that's where it comes from. People are normally quite interested in that. It's a pretty cool name, isn't it?
It is.
Christian the Fox. I wish it was just Christian the Fox, and then I wouldn't have to explain it every time. But that's where it comes from, mate. Yeah.
So your dad's construction company.
Yes.
Before I rudely interrupted to find
out. No, that's good. No, listen, mate, you can interrupt me to talk about myself anytime. My dad's construction industry, my dad's construction company. It was doing schools and stuff, but I did go and work for him for a while, and I believe it or not, I did decorating when I did it, because obviously, you give an idiot kid at the bush and go on, do that, just keep him busy for a bit. So I did that in the summer holidays, and then I did work for him for a while. But growing up, my dad, I mean, honestly, until he was like 45, he was always Wick's son. That's my granddad. And my granddad was such a big character. I mean, we all are. My dad's a huge character, massive ego. I am massive ego. And we've spoke about where that ego comes from, the insecurities, that's where it comes from. My dad's life was pretty much the same.
Yeah.
and my granddad was exactly the same. But he spent his whole life being Wick's son. I mean, I heard people telling my 40-year-old dad, "Oh, you're Wick's boy, aren't you?" And my dad just lived in his shadow. I mean, don't get me wrong, my dad took his business and turned it into this huge business, you know. So all credit to my dad, but he was still Wick's son. And it wasn't until my granddad passed away that he like got his own individuality, and I didn't want that. Yeah. So I went into chefing. Yeah, I was a head chef. I think I took my first head chef job at 19.
I've had a few chefs in here, you know.
Yeah.
A weirdly disproportionate amount compared to guests.
Yeah.
Quite a few lads seem to do that, go chef and then into construction, strangely.
Yeah. It is, yeah. I've met a few as well myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, I started as a pot washer, and I mean that's why I got into it, because I needed a job, and there was a pub down the road from my house, because my mum was ill, and I needed money. So I started as a pot washer, and I just worked my way up. I worked at some of the restaurants were within the same company, but I worked for like 13 different restaurants, and just very quickly, through cutthroat ways, got better jobs through it, and went commie chef, CDP, sous chef, and then I took my first head chef job when I was 19.
Fair play, mate.
But it was mental, mate.
Yeah, I've heard that. Long hours and intense.
Drugs.
Oh, really?
Mate, just all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, kitchens are really, really bad for drugs, mate. Yeah, I was addicted to cocaine, methamphetamines, MDMA. I was doing all sorts. And whilst doing that, still producing, quality. Which is crazy to think of, but I don't know how you can do it any other way.
Was that the culture, or was that just the pressure?
Just cultural. It's a cultural thing, mate. Yeah,
it wasn't because you needed to do it to keep going.
I don't know, mate. I was working 100 hours a week.
Yeah.
So because I was a head chef at a young age, I didn't have the experience. I mean, what's the average age for a head chef? 40, 45. I didn't have the experience, so I had to outwork that lack of experience, and that would mean getting in the kitchen at 4 a.m. and not leaving till midnight, or on a Saturday, or just work straight through. I'd work literally from that breakfast shift in the morning right through to Sunday night, and with no sleep, and just do drugs to stay awake.
I think
it's crazy, man.
That's part of what it is, Chris. Because let's running your own business is no joke. And I think maybe that being used to the long hours, the pressure, and all that, like maybe that's why a lot of chefs come this way.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
It's
I mean,
it's
like
intense.
people always say like that I'm always working, and I am always working. Like even when I'm off, I'm still working. I don't consider it work. I don't consider replying to emails, creating content, all the admin of owning your own business. I don't consider that work.
Okay.
Which I know is insane. Sorry. I know that's insane to think that, but I don't think of that as work, because to me, work is sweating your tits off, running around a kitchen with pots and pans for 9 hours straight.
Okay.
Like that to me is like proper graft.
Yeah.
So yeah, just sitting there on your phone and replying to people, I don't see that as work. So I am technically always working.
Yeah.
But it's easy work. But it has an effect on you. It definitely does.
100%.
I seem to think it doesn't, but I know it does, because I get burnout.
Yeah.
And then I just go off the rails for a week.
Do you know what, Chris? I had this conversation funnily enough, with Rich from Major League Painter, who is also a former chef. Now, I think he's relatively new to his business. I think he's been going about 3 years now. But I had this conversation. It was interesting. I said, why did you switch over? He went, because I was working 80 odd hours a week as a chef. He said, then now, I'm in business, and being a decorator, I don't work anything like that. I went, oh, right. Well, what do you work? He went, 8 till 4:30. So it's everything, And he was like, oh, what do you mean? I said, well, what about your quoting, your social media management, your invoicing, you do, phone calls, emails, all this. And it was this light bulb moment where he sat there and he went, I hadn't fucking thought of that.
Well, I've got 4 businesses.
4?
Yeah.
Fill me in, mate.
So I've got my painting and decorating company. I've got a drama and dance school.
I saw that, actually. Yeah.
Pretty cool. And then I've got a product that I patented and created that we sell online. And now I've got my social media as well.
Is this a secret product, Chris?
No, not at all. But more than happy to
Go
open.
on. What is
So
it?
I invented the spray shield, you know, spray shields. Yeah, that's mine.
No way.
I've got the patent for it.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
The spray shield, man. I did not know this.
Let me show you.
No way, mate.
Yeah, because it's quite hard to believe, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't have associated the two.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
so basically, years and years ago, like when I first started out, I went over. I was doing this job, and it was an exterior, and I was using like bits of cardboard and shit, and it just wasn't working. So I went to my dad's, and I was like, Dad, I could really do with just like a piece of aluminium. I know that sounds stupid, but just a length of aluminium. So there you go. There's the intellectual property office license.
The man tells no lies.
And then that's the certificate registration.
Fucking fair play,
So anybody
mate.
that's making them, I could technically sue them.
So you're an inventor of things.
But yeah, so I made that. And actually the hardest part of it was getting a patent on it. Because it's one of those things like you see them. I see people with them now, you know, like all sorts of ones. I think there's one I haven't got an American patent, so if they're made in America, I can't touch them. Right. But as far as the UK is concerned, you can't make a spray shield without me going, oi.
Give me a bit of that.
Yeah, so I obviously put that together, but then applying for the patent, I don't know if you've ever applied for a patent before.
No.
But you need a representative. You need because, mate, the form that you got to fill out is crazy confusing. It's all sorts of jargon, and there's very good reasons for that. You need to be very, very specific when you're having a patent. When you have a patent, because even if it's like this bottle of water, not that you could ever get a patent on a bottle of water, but the dimensions, the way it is, it has to be extremely, extremely specific. Because if it's not, they won't pass the patent. But the registration fee for the patent was 180 quid. But the lawyer's fee was £3,500. And at the time, mate, I could never have afforded that at that time. So using my ADHD brain, I just went into hyper-focus mode for 3 weeks, and I learnt patent law. I studied everything that you can possibly know about patent law for 3 weeks. And then I applied for my own patent. And I sort of thought, like, this is never going to happen. And the woman rang me from the patent office, and she said, you've put in a patent, but I noticed that you've put the representative down as yourself. That's not normally something that we do. And I was like, yeah, no, I want to represent myself for it. And she was like, okay, there's nothing against that. And then 8 weeks later, she rang me personally, and she said, your patent's been accepted. I would never normally call somebody to tell them this, but we've not had somebody do that. That doesn't happen very often. Not that it's never happened before, because obviously some people know that and could do it themselves, but it's been passed. And then, you know, weeks later, I got the certificates through.
I've had small dealings with the IPO office because I've trademarked like the logo for the podcast and my business and stuff like that. And I found that was obviously a much more simplistic process, but the same thing where even getting that like a trademark logo or something, it's a difficult process, mate. It's not simple at all. You really have to spend a good few days doing it, don't you? Similar thing though, Chris, where you look into it and that the application fee is about a couple £100. If you go through a solicitor, it's about £6.
Yeah,
you know. So I did the same. I did my own IPO things for the trademarks, for my businesses. But yeah, it's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, no, and like imagine that. So that obviously with a logo, that's that. You know, it's a flat 2D piece. It can be you can very easily reference. Imagine trying to do that with a 3D thing. It's fucking
different ballgame.
Yeah. Not to blow smoke up my own arse, but
mate, all credit. Yeah,
so I've done that, and to be honest, that has took a bit of a backseat because obviously with my stepmom passing away, my dad was sort of an integral part of the manufacturing because he really helped me get in with an engineering company, and we were making them from his workshop because he's now gone into pressing steel and fabricating classic car wings. So somebody will bring a wing to him, and he'll recreate it in steel, sheet steel, with an English wheel, like old school process. I think there's only a few people even doing that now. So he's definitely got a like specific market, but he works with steel, so he was really part of that. And with her passing away, we've just put it on the back burner. But the pattern's there. It's not going anywhere. Like this is what I said to him. You know, last time we spoke, I said, "Look, mate, don't worry. I'm not in any rush. We'll pick it up and run with it when when you're ready." And then I've got my social media stuff now that
it's a business
has now become a business. I pay tax on it, so it counts as a business. Mate. So now I'm technically 4 businesses in.
Fuck, fair play, mate. Yeah, I mean, I guess I can empathise. I've got my decorating business that's been going for a long time. I've now got the podcast. My wife's got her business, and we've got other things in there.
It's a lot, mate.
Yeah, it is. It is a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean,
luckily, I've got a partner that understands, and we bounce off each other. But there are times where we're like passing ships.
Yeah.
So it can be difficult. You have to make sure you're paying attention now and again.
Yeah.
But how so we've gone through the point of obviously your dad being in a big business and you not wanting to be in his shadow.
Yeah.
How did that come about? How did you first get into setting up your own decorating business?
Yeah. So with the birth of my first child, I decided this is just not sustainable. I'm always away. I'm at work every single weekend, and every time anyone's celebrating anything, I'm in the kitchen supplying food for it. So that's Christmas, that's Easter, that's every single bank holiday. And being the head chef, you're working all of them, mate. You're not having Christmas Day off ever.
Course,
You're never having Christmas Day off. You're never having New Year's off. And I was like, I can't do this to my kids. So with relatively little experience, and I'm a decade in now, so I don't mind talking about it. But if you've asked me since I was 21, I've been been doing it all my life, mate. But I literally went to B&Q. I bought a brush and roller set, and I went and decorated a house.
Yeah, simple as that.
I'd never done it before. I don't know where I got that confidence from, mate, but I've sort of followed on with that confidence to anything that I've done. I've always gone, why not me?
Yeah.
Why can't I do that?
Yeah.
If somebody else can do that, I can do that, and I'll figure it out as I go. Mate, I've made every single decorating mistake you could possibly make, but I've learned from it.
Mate, that is how you learn.
Yeah.
That's the thing. When you become comfortable with failure, comfortable with making mistakes. And I mean, like, I'm extremely confident in my abilities as a decorator because I've been doing it for so damn long.
Yeah.
But it's not, but yeah, don't look too close.
No.
This was a quick
And it's funny, you saw my eyes go up though.
Sure. But yeah, mate, I'm very confident, but it's not based on some natural born talent. It's purely based on 25, 26, 28, probably 30 years worth of making mistakes.
Yeah.
And then going, that didn't work. How do we get around that?
Yeah.
And then looking up the solutions.
Yeah.
And I am just a catalogue of mistakes.
Yeah.
That's it. That's how I see myself. A catalogue of mistakes that I've learned from, to a point where I am now very confident that there's probably, touch wood, not that many mistakes left for me to make because I've fucking done it so many times.
Yeah.
And if you keep repeating the same mistake,
but you're just a fool then, aren't you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that's how you learn. So when you become comfortable with it, mate, it's a game changer.
I think I learned a long time ago as well that, and this is the same for everybody listening as well. Like, this is not something that's special to me. It's just something that I realised a long time ago. If I try my absolute hardest at something and give it my all, I'm actually better than the average person who's doing that as a job. You are. Like, if you try your absolute hardest and give something your all, you're actually generally on the upper percentage of people who are doing that as a normal job because they're not giving their all. They're half-arsing it. If you're a decorator that's been doing it for years and you've got comfortable and you're half-arsing it, that I'm talking about the average decorator. Yeah. If you're trying your absolute hardest, you'll probably do a better job than them. And then with time, you learn more and you get better, and while you're still giving it everything you've got, you then become great. And my dad told me when I was younger, whatever you do, be the best at it. If you're a bin man, be the best bin man. If you're a janitor, be the best janitor. Because it's not long before people start going, he's fucking pretty good. And then you get a pay rise. Like when I went from pot washer to head chef in 4 years. But that's just because every single day that I went in, I tried my absolute hardest. I mean, I ruined my body with drugs to force myself. I mean, I was having packets of Pro Plus every day, just like, just really pushing myself through all the pain and struggle to just get there all the time, which is nuts now. I think about it and I was like, how did I even survive that period of my life? But
do you know what, mate? I mean, I've only met you today and what I've seen on social media, but I can tell that that's what you're like anyway. It's 100%. But I think that's probably what's got you where you've got and given you the opportunities that you've given. Because like you say, you give it your all and you try your hardest, and that gains a lot of respect from people.
Yeah. Yeah, no. And it's an illness as well. It's a blessing and a curse. Like, I've got ADHD hyperfocus. So basically what that means is I become obsessed with stuff, and my hobby is hobbies, because if I get anything that gives me dopamine, like if it gives me a rush from doing something, I just keep banging on that door, and it can be mental things, mate. Like, it's been piano, ukulele, Rubik's Cube, learning Spanish. Like, I just obsessed over those things until I could do them.
Yeah.
And I've got a new one every month.
What are we on now?
At the moment, I'm still on Spanish, but I am starting to move back into video games, because like a new game will come out, but it's just mental stuff, mate. It's things that are like, I can't just not be doing anything. My idea of hell is to just sit and watch TV. It has to be like gripping for me to watch it. I could never watch like a drama, like a basic show. If I watch TV, it's got to be something that's like got me. But I'd rather be doing something. I'd rather be like building something or making something or drawing or art or something like that.
I can resonate with that, mate. My missus always says to me, because I moan that I don't have any downtime.
Yeah.
And the minute I get it, I'm bored within minutes.
Yeah, and then you want to
do I sit down and half an hour later, I'm like, oh, right. Yeah. What can we do?
Yeah.
And I'll start, like, I'll check the weather or something. She'd be like, what are you doing? I'd be like, checking the weather. Sure. Why are you relaxing? Like, yeah, should we go for a walk? Should we go and hike?
Yeah,
Should we do this? Should we do
you've
that?
got to find something to do.
Got to be doing something. Yeah.
Mine's like and I've got better at not letting it impact my family, but it is a sickness. When I say obsessive, mate, when I was learning Spanish, I did 8 hours a night. I was getting home and staying up till 3 a.m. I'm on Duolingo and I'm reading books and stuff, and the blinkers are on. It's like tunnel vision. I can't stop doing the thing. Maybe it's an autistic trait, like maybe it's mixed in with both, but I can't stop doing that thing until I can do it.
Yeah.
I don't know. And it's caused all sorts of problems over the years with relationships, kids and my family. But
I can imagine, mate, but I guess once you know that and you can work with it, I mean, it's also a fucking superpower.
Well, yeah, that's the good thing about it. And that's why I don't complain about it, because I can direct that focus. Like if I, with the whole Pro Shield thing, the spray shield, I directed it towards patent law. Mate, I was doing 10 hours until I fell asleep with the books on my lap. And then I'd do the same thing next night. I'd get home at 5 o'clock and it'd be 3 o'clock in the morning. And that whole time I'm like eating while I'm doing it, and I'm like laser focused on that thing. But then everything else in my life will fall apart.
Yeah.
And I'll be there fucking learning Spanish, like that. But that's the issue with it, is I don't give a shit about anything else that's going on. I don't, most people can carry multiple things in their mind at one time and go, okay, they've got that sort of. I can't. It's fucking all or nothing. So if I'm learning Spanish, yo tengo todo estudiar español. That's it. Nothing else, mate.
How are you getting on with the Spanish?
Yeah, pretty good at it. I mean, can speak Spanish.
Yeah.
I mean, if I hit a dialect, I'm fucked.
Yeah.
But we go to Spain and I can communicate. 3 weeks. I learned it in 3 weeks.
What instigated that? Just
Don't know.
Just fancied it.
Honestly, mate, and I never know. The Rubik's Cube, mate. I must have seen someone do it, and then I fucking was like, I need to know how to do that. I need to know how to do that. So I ordered one off Amazon. One night, I could do it in one night. By the way, the Rubik's Cube is really easy to solve. If anybody wants to be able to do the Rubik's Cube, all you have to do is learn 8 moves, memorize those 8 moves, and you can do it.
Really?
Yeah, no, there's no like wizardry behind it. You make a yellow flower at the top. Once you've made that flower, it's very easy to get that. You flip it over, you make a white flower, then you do the corners, then you do the middle, then you do the bottom. And it's a sequence of moves. So as long as you're holding it in the right position towards your face, it's back, front, back, front, back, front, up, down. Doesn't matter where the pieces are, it will still go into that. It's an algorithm. That's all it is. Yeah. And once you've memorized that algorithm, you'll be able to do it. I did it in a night. I did it for 12 hours straight.
Insane,
yeah, it's insane. It's on my. It's actually documented on my Instagram. I put it on my Instagram saying new obsession, literally on there. Then I did a video of me doing it like half, and then the next morning I was like, I can do it now, and then just did it. Yeah, like it's on my Instagram. People can go and look that up.
Fair play, mate. Fair play. It fascinates me because to me, it's the whole neurodiverse term. I like the term because all it means is brain different.
Yeah.
But I think there's so many people now that are being diagnosed with various things, whether it's ADHD, autism, minor autism, and things like that. I start to wonder when there's such a large portion of the population that are neurodiverse or neuro non-typical, whichever way I think, whether it's actually just almost like being left-handed, right-handed. There's actually, there's more people that are right-handed, but there's a hell of a lot that are left.
Well, it's a spectrum, and that's why when people go, oh, I might be autistic, you are. But you're just maybe a bit further down on the spectrum than I am.
Yeah.
But it's a spectrum, which means everybody's on it. It's just where you are on it.
Yeah.
Some people are chronically autistic and some people are just a little bit autistic, That's the meaning of a spectrum. That's what a spectrum means.
Yeah.
So when people say, oh, I'm on the spectrum, no, we're all on the spectrum. We're all in some way neurodivergent, and who's to say what's normal? If everyone was like me, you'd be weird, So like, that's what I mean. That's what I was getting at, really. It's just a percentage thing, isn't it? It's like less people are like you. Yeah.
So then it's the norm thing or outside of the norm. But it's once you can recognize it, and that's where a lot of the school system goes wrong.
Yeah.
Is that they're trying to funnel everyone on the same path.
Yeah.
And they're treating everyone like you are either normal or you are faulty.
Yeah.
As far as I see it. There's that many people that are neurodiverse now, and like you got a fucking superpower, mate.
Yeah.
I mean,
but also, I would like to say as well, there's loads of things I'm fucking awful at. So like, don't think it makes me special. Like I'm not special because there's things that other people find like nothing that I can't even bring myself to do. Like just filling out a form to send back to a company that doesn't benefit me in any way. Like if it, say for instance, like a parking fine, mate, I will fucking leave 10 parking fines and they'll turn into £300 debts, and then the fucking bailiff will turn up my ass. But the thought of that is like fingers down a blackboard. I can't do that stuff at all. It hurts me to do it. Whereas any normal person would just be like, oh, all you got to do is that, fill that in, and then that's done. I can't do that. To me, that's like a massive task. I'd have to prepare myself to do that.
Your strengths, though, mate.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
There's people are good at some things and they're bad at others. Yeah, and I'm good at some stuff, but there's lots of stuff I'm bad at as well.
Chris, that's the key, though, isn't it? Is recognizing your strengths, and then directing your life to play into those, and not trying to force yourself the square peg into a round hole. Realizing that I'm a bit different, but these are my strengths, so I'll lean into that and I'll delegate the stuff that I can't do. Or I'll get support for that.
That's just being good, but that's having a good business mind as well, isn't it? That's a That's a massive
You
factor.
clearly
Being able
have,
to
mate.
delegate.
To have
delegate
everything on the go that you've got going, you have to be able to delegate.
Yeah.
Because you can't do all that on your own.
Yeah.
That's my downfall, I think, is I probably try and hold on to too much.
Oh, yeah, I'm such a control freak with that
yeah.
shit as well. Yeah, I know.
I'm learning this with a podcast because this whole thing is so far out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
I'm not a podcaster. I'm a decorator. I'm
Yeah,
just, you
yeah.
know what I mean? But I've gained, I guess, life experience and the skills through my own life that have put me in a position to feel comfortable to do this. But stuff like the technical side of it, so all the technology, I'm just about to launch like a merchandise range for the podcast as well. But that's the first time where I identified that and I went, I know nothing about that. That is not me. Like clothing and the way the whole system works, not me. So I've actually outsourced that.
Yeah, that's a smart thing to do.
Experts in the field. And the company that I'm working with are fucking amazing at what they do. So I'm like, well, you do that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I've just handed it over. I'm like, look, I'll sign off the designs. We'll do that. But
you've got skills. Like you've got something that's a transferable skill. You've obviously studied psychology. You know what makes people tick. You're a great listener. I can tell that already. And when you're speaking to me, I'm very switched on with like the way people communicate with me, and I notice all the little micro movements when people are like, you know, being able to read the room is very important, especially in business.
Yeah, gotcha.
But I can tell that you're not listening to reply; you're listening to listen, and there's a very, very big difference because when people speak, most of the time they're thinking about what they're going to say next. But you're comfortable, and obviously you must have done the research to be comfortable in that pause after what you want to, what they've said, and then what you want to say. Most people are so uncomfortable with that and then being able to speak that they think about what they're going to say before you've even finished what you're saying. And then how can you listen to someone if you're thinking about what you're going to say next?
Absolutely.
You know, but you're good at that. And that's a skill, mate.
It's
and
one I've
it's
learned.
honed.
Yeah, it's one I've learned, Chris. Samaritans. That was what did that for me. You know, learning about listening. I thought, you know, it's a subject I don't need to learn about. I know that.
Yeah.
But I didn't. I knew nothing about listening before I started. And they've got a really good training program. You have to do like 3 months worth of training because obviously you're dealing with people in crisis. So
of course.
Essentially, you can't fuck that up.
Yeah. Are you on the phones then?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good, man. That's really good. You're fucking
calls.
helping people on the front line, mate. That is.
Yeah.
Taking those phone calls. I bet that's tough emotionally as well.
It is. You hear some heartbreaking stories, but I've heard those sat here. But it gives me, it's not selfless, mate, because I get a real sense of purpose from it.
Yeah.
When I started doing that, if I'm honest, the path that took me there was studying psychology and then thinking, well, maybe if I get out of the trade down the line, because to be honest with you, I've got a crisis over turning 40, mate. I see 40 as halfway. I think that's half time for me.
Well, not if you die at 60. You're fucking 2/3 there, mate.
Exactly. Cheers, mate. But, do you know what though? When I looked at it and I thought, I've been in this trade for so long, it's the physical wearing and tearing of the body.
Fucks your body, mate.
Yeah.
My right shoulder is
same.
just
My right shoulder,
mate.
mate. I've had tendonitis in my right shoulder for what feels like 2 years.
Yeah.
If I try and hold that water at like arm length, my hand shakes because of the tension in my shoulder.
Yeah.
But it's stuff like that. And I thought by the time I'm 50, I've either got to be off the tools or doing something else.
Yeah, yeah.
And psychology is a passion. So I followed it. And lent the business model that I could see was getting into counselling, running my own counselling business because I could see how that could all work.
Yeah.
So hence leaning towards counselling. But then that took me to Samaritans because I thought to myself, I don't know if I can do that.
Yeah.
Taking on the weight of the conversations and, you know, and I openly thought if I go to, you know, counsel a volunteer and I hear something horrific that's happened to somebody, am I going to take that home and is that going to ruin my week and my weekend? Because I can't then do that to my family.
Yeah.
So I was conscious of that. So I thought, well, I'll go and volunteer at Samaritans. I've heard all about them. If I'm honest, I didn't know a fat lot about how it worked.
Yeah.
And I'll see how it goes. And through doing that, I then found this sense of purpose I didn't know I needed. You know, it was like ticking a box I didn't know I had.
Yeah.
And it sounds all overly romantic. And
no, mate. Helping people is it's the fucking essence of life.
It is.
I mean, even when you're at home, like you know, you go to work and stuff. You helping your family, like that's purpose. Yeah. That's meaning.
Yeah.
And I know what a life without purpose feels like, and it's fucking dark.
Yeah.
That's a dark existence, you know. That's not a good place to be. A man without purpose is a dangerous man to everybody around him.
As well as that, though, Chris, there was a beauty to doing something that didn't revolve around business. I've been in business all my life, and having to do something that had no financial implication, no profit or loss,
That's nice.
It was good, and that's then led on to being here.
Yeah.
So this started as a passion project, and it's been so well received. It's gaining momentum, and I don't know where it's going, to be honest, but it's heading places.
Yeah, definitely, mate.
So I'm just happy if I can combine that sense of purpose with being able to support my family. Boxes are all ticked for me.
Yeah.
So that's what
great.
That's the future projections. Hopefully.
So you're still on the bush then?
Oh God,
still
yeah.
on the bush,
Yeah, I'm going to work after this, mate.
So am I.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, admittedly, I'm going to do a brand deal, but I will be painting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's at my house. I've got my kids' play set. I've got to finish, put another coat on that, but that's part of a brand deal for Brewers.
Yeah.
Mate, it's a weird position to be in.
Let's get on to that, mate, because you've gone through obviously being a normal painter and decorator with your own business, and then at some point you have been launched into. How did your journey in social media start?
So I just started doing it, mate.
On what?
A
platform?
lot of it was on TikTok. I think I first posted my first video.
Okay,
but it's been a very slow grind. Like I never blew up. I think I've got across socials now maybe 400,000 followers, but like none of those just appeared, mate.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the best way to do it.
Yeah.
When people go, I've only got this many, I've only got that many, I go, yeah, but you got if you've never had like a big blowout, then you've got loyal ones because they've stuck with you. Like, I mean, you only got to go to my comment section, like they're the best followers ever because they're like super supportive, and then you get hate comments that I honestly don't give a shit about, but you get hate comments from outside who have come in from the For You page or something. My followers will fucking viciously attack them, mate.
Really?
Yeah, because they know me. They know me as a person because they've seen me grow. They've seen things change. They've seen, I put some photos on yesterday, and all the comments were, "It's fucking so great to see how far you've come," and they've watched it all play out. I mean, I'm very open and honest with the people that watch me. I don't keep my insecurities to myself. I don't keep my cards close. I let it breathe. I let them know if something is bothering me. I'll be honest about it, and I'll open up. I know why I'm so insecure. I know that I need validation from other people like that. No one can ever attack me and go, "Oh, you do this." Because I'm like, yeah, I know. That's bro. I know why I do that. I know I didn't get enough attention as a child, and that's why I do this. I know I need that external validation. I'd love for somebody to go, "You don't need to do that, and this is why." But that answer's not on the table. I wish it was, but it's not.
Honestly, fair play to you, Chris, for putting that out there. I mean, in one way, it's also a defence because it's like the old Eminem kind of thing, isn't it? Where he just attacked himself before anyone else.
Yeah, of course.
Like, that's me, and what?
Yeah.
So you don't leave anyone any scope to attack you, but also it's still a vulnerability and a strength that you're open to say, "This is why I'm doing it."
Yeah.
And what?
Yeah.
And hopefully people will listen and clock that and be like, "You know what? Fucking fair play."
Yeah.
That's it. Because it's such a weird space, mate.
Yeah.
Social media is such a strange creature.
And the vanity of it, like, I'll do stuff and I'll go, I know why I've done that. Like, I'll post a selfie of myself and I'm like, I know that I've done that. So people go, "Oh, you look nice." Because obviously that day I need a fucking boost. Sometimes I'll even put it in the caption. I'll put posting for validation, or the slider on Instagram. I'll put slide for validation because I know I'm doing it for that reason. And you're right. I probably do then say that to protect myself because if I'm taking a piss out of myself, nobody else can. That probably comes from my childhood as well, doesn't it? I was a bit like that when I was younger. I've taken a piss out of myself. You can't attack me. There we go. We're getting even breaking down the breakdowns of my own vulnerabilities. But yeah, back to where we were. Social media. It all started. I just put out a silly tutorial video, and And I don't know. I guess I never really thought that there was that many people doing decorating content. Now I found out there's loads. But at the time, I never saw anybody. I'd never heard of anybody doing it. And I was like, oh, I guess probably people would want to know this. And then the first video I put on got like 1.1 million views. And it was just a silly decorating video on how to gloss. To be fair, it was a bit of a bait video, really.
Yeah.
It's not actually how I gloss, but it's like the quickest way to gloss. Like, you know, if you've got fresh woodwork and it's not got any drips on it, you know, you can just put Zinza bin over it because it bites into it. You don't need to sand it. You don't need to do fuck all to it, and then put gloss over the top of it, and it's absolutely fine. You know, if you're doing that on your home, DIY, that's how I'd do it in my own house.
Yeah.
If I'm not bothered about paying to do it professionally.
Yeah, a lot of these adhesion primers now you can put on anything.
Yeah,
you don't need to key it at all. It's just straight on.
Slap it straight on top. Yeah. And that video did 1.1 million, and then I think the next one I did was how to prevent mold in bathrooms, and that got like 4.5 million. And then once people know you, then it starts to like even out. So it was like 600,000, 250,000, you know. And obviously, as TikTok's changed, those numbers go up and down, you know.
Do you know what, though, Chris? Because I try and do this myself. I'm not anywhere near those leagues yet, but a few weeks ago, one of the reels on Facebook hit about 550,000.
Yeah.
Which is like my highest viewed reel, which I know is no great shakes. But when you try and look at it... And
for Instagram, mate, that's fucking wicked.
I know, sorry, Facebook it was.
Oh, it's Facebook. Yeah.
But you look at it and then I go, well, hold on. Wembley Stadium holds 90,000 people, sold out.
That's what I mean, man.
And then you translate it into like 5 Wembley stadiums. And it's like...
I was talking to my mum about this. Like, I think if you added up all of my views across social media, it would be like 100 million people. I mean, it's probably fucking way more than that.
I was going to say,
math is probably well off now I think about it. Because, that's Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. Yeah. That's more than live in this country.
It's insane.
It is.
I was talking to... So a few months ago, I did the Trade Legends podcast with the lads over there.
Yeah,
and
I'm going to be doing that one soon.
Oh, yeah, lads, mate.
They're sponsored by Unilight, aren't they?
Yeah.
So
they're at Unilight.
Oh, they're at Unilight today. Yeah.
So Al, that runs the Trade Legends podcast, was the owner of Unilight.
Oh, was he really?
Yeah. So that's that, but they're sponsored by CT1.
Yeah, they sent me. Mate, they sent me loads of stuff. Like
they're wicked, mate.
That's the kindest gift I've ever had. They sent me one of all of their jackets, their knives, like fucking 4 tape measures.
Yeah, they're ace.
Like, they sent me loads of stuff, mate. I was really, really appreciative.
When I was on that, I was on it with a lad called Sam Draycott, who's not in the trades. He's a farrier, but they had him on. He was like his TikTok.
Oh, yeah, I know that guy.
Huge,
I know that guy. Yeah,
he
I've
was
seen that.
talking about his figures. Lovely bloke. And he was talking about his figures, and like it's in the billions.
Yeah.
Of people that have viewed, and you just can't.
Yeah, mate. My friends at Home Improvements channel.
Yeah,
mate. Those lads are like, they've surpassed like billions and billions of views,
mate,
man.
Hollywood stars don't get those views on movies.
No, I know. And this is another thing I was talking to my mum about. The evening news, like the actual news, gets less than 200,000 viewers.
Yeah.
So I can literally make a fucking video of me showing you how to wallpaper and get 10 times what the evening news gets.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's mental.
I guess growing up for me, the ultimate, you were famous if you were on telly, but now everyone's got a telly in their hand.
Yeah, no, you're not famous if you're on telly anymore. No. Just like being on Coronation Street now does not make you famous in any sense of the word. Everywhere I go, someone recognises me.
How's that?
Bit weird.
I was going to say
it was initially, and also my family didn't believe it. So like I would go into Asda and especially like round where I'm from, and people would come up to me and chat to me and take photos and talk to me about decorating and stuff. Normally decorators, to be honest. I thought obviously got a target market. But it happened a lot, and then it started happening in front of my family, and they couldn't fucking wrap their head around it. Like, I went to a music festival, in Peterborough, and I was with my father-in-law, my late father-in-law, and all of his friends, And as we were walking, we were friends with one of the DJs. As we were walking to the stage, we'd had VIP and stuff. He was getting stopped. I was getting stopped 10 times more just on the way to the VIP thing. And he was like, what is going on? I was like, I don't know. But yeah, it is a bit strange initially, but then you realise that most of those people, they're not like, oh, you're famous. It's not the same as like a movie star, no. I don't think. Like, it's like, I know you. Like, I feel like I know you because I've watched all your stuff. Yeah. I feel like we're friends. That's weird, the kind of energy.
Yeah, because they know you, but you don't know them from Adam.
It is. You are at a point of disadvantage because, like, they know everything about you and you know nothing about them. Yeah. So they'll say, one thing that happens a lot is someone will come up to me and they want to say something, but they don't really know what to say.
Yeah.
So they'll either say, "Oh, I love that when you did that thing. That's so funny when you hung out of the ceiling," and it'll be something that I've fucking completely forgotten about. Like, I've made at this point 500 videos. I don't know what I did 12 months ago. And they'll go, "Oh, I remember you do that," and I'll go, "Oh, yeah." Or they'll say something extremely offensive.
Really?
Yeah. They're probably, I'd say maybe 1 in 10, it's offensive.
In terms of what?
Well,
what sort of example?
Obviously, I film with other creators now, and we do videos together. And there's a lot of banter. Like, we'll joke with each other, we'll wind each other up because we know each other personally. And they'll think, "Oh, I can talk like that to you."
Right.
So they'll say something like, call me a lanky bastard, or, and I'm like, "Mate, you don't know me like that." I never do. I always go, because I'm so insecure. I'll go, "Oh, mate, you're fucking, fuck you," like that. In my head, I'm going, I fucking don't even know this guy, and he's just called me a cunt,
Yeah.
But it just comes with the territory, doesn't it? Like, you've got to sort of get used
weird.
to that.
I've had this.
And by the way, it's such a minor scale. Like, my fame is nothing compared to, like, I'm a nobody.
But you say that, mate. You're probably playing it down a bit there, mate. You are probably playing it down because I think within construction, such a big demographic in the UK.
Yeah.
And you're on some of the biggest platforms of that. So you are probably known or recognised by so many people.
That just don't come over and speak to you as well.
Yeah, no, exactly.
I never thought of that, to be honest.
But I find it such a bizarre... So this whole thing, like social media being relatively new, like the opportunities that you get, like you said, it's your 4th business now.
Yeah.
So the fact that you can potentially earn a living, pay your bills through doing the content that you're doing. I mean, mate, first of all credit to you, mate. I think it's fucking brilliant. I really do. But isn't it a bizarre thing?
Yeah.
Like, if you'd have thought 10 years ago, somebody bringing the phone outside the door. If you'd have thought 10 years ago, wouldn't have even been a thing.
I would say, if you think you're going to go into social media and overnight have loads of money, you ain't. I ain't even earning enough money to live on from social media at the moment. Yeah. Not even fucking close. And actually, I'm earning less money now because I'm trying to do both. I'm trying to be a decorator and do social media at the same time. And it's tough because the earning potential in both of them, I can't focus on one. So I was earning loads more as a decorator with 13 decorators under my belt than I am now on my own and doing social media. I'm on a lot less money, but I've always found if you do the work and you focus on the passion first, the money will come.
Yeah.
Don't do things for the money. Do it for the graft and do it for the hard work, and things build over time. And then the money eventually comes. If you focus on the money, it's a shallow existence, and actually it holds you back because it ends up making decisions based on financial gain. And then, like, I'm here today for free.
Yeah.
This, there might be one of these clips that you put out that goes viral and that blows me up, it blows you up, but I'm not here to earn anything. But if I was thinking about the money, I'd be like, "Oh, why am I going to go?
Yeah.
You're not paying me, are you?"
No.
Just thought I'd check.
No,
but like,
we hadn't discussed that.
The thing is, if you focus on that, mate, that's not conducive to success. I've done some things with TV now that obviously I can't talk about, but if I'd have been like, well, what am I getting out of that? I might not have done it. But now that I've done it, I'm like, oh my God, thank God I did that. Because when that comes out, mate, that's going to be massive for me.
You have to speculate, mate. I mean, I can resonate with that. I do the same thing. I mean, last week, Tuesday, I took the day off work, travelled down to London, recorded with a couple of lads on somebody else's podcast. Same thing, mate. It cost me a day's work, travel expense and all the rest of it. But I've done it because I'm looking to grow this platform and spread awareness. And trust me, I'm massively in the red when it comes to this.
But do you has that been a theme throughout your life? Because I find that with most businessmen, or you're an entrepreneur, you know, you're not just a businessman, you're obviously an entrepreneur. Are you very comfortable with putting your money into something that isn't guaranteed to, so am I.
Yeah.
And I'll throw it at it and go, fuck it. That's it.
Do you know what,
no
Chris?
problem.
Like, genuinely, when I started the podcast, it was with zero expectations. And it's a passion project. It was like a follow-on from the psychology, the counselling, the Samaritan thing. And I thought, it was a conversation with my wife where I said, I feel like I need to do something that combines the skills I'm learning at Samaritans, the knowledge I've got from my own experience and education, and do something specific to my trade, because there's this glaring problem in construction. And it was just an idea where I went, maybe I could do a podcast.
Yeah.
And then all credit to my wife, mate. She run with it.
Yeah.
So she's at all action. I'm an overthinker. And I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for her.
Yeah.
Because she went and got this place, got the tenancy. All of that was like, boom, 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 done. Right, now we have a podcast. Now we have to do it.
Yeah.
Because she saw the potential in me, I guess, to do this. But when I did that, it's completely like I've got in my mind, well, it's a passion project. I've got a certain amount of money that I'm happy to just throw into it, not looking for a return. And if that's what it is, that's what it'll be.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I've also always had the thing in my head that any new business will make a loss for the first 2 years. So
that's what I think. And do you know what? Yeah. In my general experience, it's less than a year. If you've got that attitude and you've put you all into it, it's turning a profit in less than a year. Yeah. The dance and drama school, in 1 month, we had 125 students, and which is enough to sustain us. Like financially, we're like it's going fine now.
Wow.
But that was like because we just put everything into it, bang, 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 and did all this marketing and like just ran at 100 miles an hour at it, and now it's a success. Like,
how do you find, the question for you, how do you find the balance of running your decorating business with social media? Because I know personally, because I'm dipping my toes, I guess, on a few things, a lot of the social media stuff's quite short notice. It's like, can you come and do this on Tuesday?
Oh, yeah. You know? Oh, of course, yeah.
How are you managing your work?
It's hard, mate. Taking on a big job. Like I've just turned down a school contract for summer. I did 4 schools last year, and I didn't do any social media for 8 weeks really, apart from a few posts. It dominated my life, but I thought this year I can't do that, man, because I've got like responsibilities now. I've been with On the Tools, shout out On the Tools, for 3 months now, like as their main ambassador, and they need me for stuff every week. So you know, I can still do residential properties, and you know, people are very understanding as well. Like generally, people know me, you know, and certainly agencies, you know, like housing associations and stuff like that. They know me, so they know what I'm going to be able to do and what I'm not going to be able to do, and I can go to them and go, look, I can do this, but I need to spread it over 2 weeks because I've got here, I've got to go here, and I've got to go here, and they're normally always all right with it. But it holds me back from making big money. I can't do 12 grand in a month anymore. That's just not possible. I'll maybe do 3 as a decorator. I'm quite happy with being letting these figures out there as well. People need to understand what kind of money you can make as a decorator, because I think a lot of people think we're paupers, and that like it's actually, if you're doing it on your own, which you can and you should be if you're a decorator, I don't think anybody should be working for a company as a decorator. You know, you should be working for yourself and then outsource to these big companies so that you get the real money rather than getting paid hourly as a decorator. I think that's disgusting. But if you're a decorator and you work for yourself, you will be earning way more money than any other trade working for somebody else. So if you're a plumber for Barrett's, or if you're an electrician for Persimmons, you're going to be earning, as a decorator working for yourself, way more than them boys, because you're on price. You set your own terms.
I agree, mate.
If you're good at it.
There's this misconception, mate. I hope it's changing. I feel it is slightly, that decorators are at the bottom of the pile.
No,
I saw something the other day about what you should be paying your tradesmen, and it was like labourer and then decorator was next.
It's
and
mental,
then
isn't
I thought, you cheeky fuckers.
Mate, I earn more. I mean, obviously because I've scaled. I've scaled back down now, but I scaled a business. Obviously, you're going to earn more money, aren't you? But even when I was working on my own with just me and a brush hand, during summer, mate, we were doing an hour a week exterior, and that was £3,000. We were doing £3,000 a week over summer. Well, name another trade you can earn £3,000 a week, and I was paying him what, 550, 600 quid.
Yeah. So
I was walking away with
couple of grand.
Yeah.
Mate, I know. The trades have treated me well, unless the taxman's listening. So I know there's money to be earned.
Yeah.
Right? It's a good trade. There's fucking dough to be earned. I believe that the conception of decorators, a misconception of decorators, is changing, because other trades are starting to realise now that actually we fix a lot of people's work.
Yeah.
And I think what's helping that is the new equipment. So
yeah,
the likes of your dustless sanding, your sprayers, and that, and people can now look at it and go, "Oh, that's a bit."
Do you think there's a clear distinction between a decorator and a painter?
Yep, I would.
So what's a decorator?
Personally, my definition of the two, a decorator would be somebody that handles the more niche aspects of things. So things like wallpaper installation.
Yeah, that's where I go straight to.
Yeah, wallpaper. If you can hang paper, you're a decorator.
Yeah.
So paper installation. The more niche things, maybe things, like coving installation, restoration work, things like that. Anything that's bespoke, you're a decorator. If you just turn up and paint things, you're a painter. I don't think there's many painters around.
No.
Just painters.
I've met a few of them, mate. But they're always working. They're basically a jumped up labourer.
Yeah. Essentially.
Because they're working for a big company, and they just turn up and tosh on 15 quid an hour.
Exactly, mate. If you turn, and fair play to them. If that's what they do, that's what they do. With that. But yeah, there's a difference.
Yeah,
there is a difference.
Yeah. I get stick on the internet all the time. You're not doing this right, and it's normally, it's almost exclusively middle-aged men. And I don't mean this to be disrespectful, but they get very, very much on their high horse about how good they are. I've been a decorator for 45 years. And I just want to go, mate. You're a fucking decorator. Like, you're nothing. I'm nothing. We're nothing. Yeah. We're the afterthought of the construction industry, and you're talking about it like you're a fucking concierge at the Marriott. You're not. You're just a decorator. And they'll always leave like nasty fucking horrible hate comments about the way I'm doing something. Like, why can't you be constructive? I don't take these things to heart. Not that I'm bringing it up on a fucking podcast. Obviously, it doesn't bother me that much, does it? But why can't people be constructive? Well, I'm a younger guy. If you've been in the industry for 45 years, that means you must be what, 60, pushing 70?
Yeah.
Tell me, help me. Look, why try and berate me, and also try and show everybody how great you are in the process?
I'll never understand the mindset, mate. I'll never understand. There's so many, and I've seen videos, not yours. I've seen videos, and I've scrolled, and I've thought, I wouldn't do it that way.
Yeah,
I've never thought I'm going to write that.
Yeah.
Just move on, man.
Yeah.
Move on. Let people be.
Yeah.
The one thing there that I'll throw in, because I find it interesting, is that badge of honor, and I think so many people, not just decorators, any trade, hide behind it. I've been doing this 35 years, Chris.
Yeah.
So fucking what?
Yeah. And it's crazy. You've been doing it 35 years, and I'm fucking still better than you. Yeah. So you must be really shit at it.
Do you know what, though, mate? And listen, I could hold that badge to a degree at 23, 24 years.
Yeah.
Or in terms of in the trade, longer. because I started doing it a lot younger than that. I could do that. I could throw that around. I've been decorating 25 years. Do you know what? If I'm being honest, probably at least 15 of that, if not more, is now utterly fucking irrelevant.
Oh, yeah.
Because
of the way things have changed.
Yeah. I do, when I started in business, it was all oil-based paints. It was all hand sanding. It was, dustless sanding was not a thing. Sprayers were not a thing.
Yeah.
Well, now everything has changed.
Yeah.
Would I do the same stuff that I did 25 years ago? That's
Absolutely
how is
not.
that relevant?
Yeah.
So for me to sit there and go, well, I've been doing it 25 years. Well, 15 of it is utterly fucking useless in today's trade.
Do you know what? I used to deal with that when I was a chef. I used to have, because obviously I'd have a team of guys that would work under me. Mate, I was 19. So they were like 35 and 36 as my sous chef. Nutcases, crazy guys. But there would be an attitude of like, why are you... And I got into an argument, mate. I was very ferocious chef. Like, I was very angry all the time. Because you have to... Mate, like that stereotype is 100% true. And actually, the head chefs that trained me were like that as well. I mean, the physical and mental abuse, they'd burn you and like cut you. I've got some war wounds from battle. Yeah, that was all stapled up. Yeah, mate, it's bullying. And like, you talk about building sites, the kitchens are fucking worse. But also as well, it's like a pressure cooker, mate. Everything is hot and angry, and your brain is pulsating with information. If you think about it, in a restaurant, let's say you've got 8 tables. Each table's got, on average, 4 people. Each person's having a starter, a main, and a dessert. Each dish has got 5 components. So that's 5 times 4 times 8. I mean, the numbers of things that you've got to make sure out of the oven at the right time. It's like your head is bang, bang, bang. And we used to call it the flow. Like, you could get into this mode where it all just made sense and your brain could hold these cooking temperatures all at the same time. You could have like 30 things in your head at once. But interrupting that by somebody making a mistake would instantly just fill you with rage. So they used to, like, mate, there's fights and shit in kitchens and like burst outs and like get really, really violent in there. But that's what made me like that. And I've managed to let that go now. And I think I've grown as a person. I used to get into a lot of fights. I mean, all of my lower jaw is made of steel. All of this is completely reconstructed.
Really?
Yeah. Because I got into a fight in Lincoln, and these lads stomped on my face. I put my arms up like that, and a boot went straight through my chin. It snapped it here, and here.
Fucking hell.
And I've got there's a screw here. And a screw there holding in a metal jaw. Yeah.
Jesus Christ, mate.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
What was the instigator of that? What?
Nothing, mate. No, just night out nothingness. This lad punched me in the side of the head. I barely remember it because it knocked me out cold. He punched me in the side of the head, and I remember being on the floor and just getting stamped on. And then this bouncer dragged me out from underneath by my leg, got me outside, and then next thing I know, I was in hospital. And then, they'd completely restructured my jaw. I was like quagmire for a month, mate. It was really bad. But yeah, stuff happens, mate, doesn't it? Yeah. That was that was that year's crisis. Yeah. It's like every fucking year, mate, something happens, and I'm just like, what's it going to be? I'm dreading next year's.
Well, mate, hopefully the tide will turn for you, Chris.
Yeah.
I really do hope it does, because you have been through some shit, and I really hope now people listening to you have got a better understanding of who you are.
Yeah.
And I would like to say, mate, massive respect. I love all the stuff you're doing with social. Same with anyone else, like the likes of your mates, the lads Home Improvements, lads Kev, Paint Warrior, all you lot, because to me, all it's doing is raising the profile of the industry.
Yeah.
Getting more attention on it.
Construction is on a massive social media incline at the moment.
And you guys are all open.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You're all open, honest people, and you all come across very genuine.
Yeah.
So I think it's only great for the industry, and people should support that.
Yeah.
Not be jealous of it and try and pull you down, because they're not doing it.
You can't be a bullshit when doing this, mate. No. Because, you can, but the audience will figure it out very quickly, mate. So you may as well just be open with your insecurities from the bat, because people will figure it out.
But you can see that as well by the type of people that you're mixing with who seem sound. You've got to look at that and think, well, if they're sound, they're not going to put up with him if he's a dick.
No, so we don't as well. And there has been a few fallouts between them. I don't want to start any dramas, but there's been a few people that we've, over the time we've gone, that guy's a fucking knobhead, mate.
I mean, we're probably coming to the end time-wise of the episode, but before we do move on, what I do want to ask you about, mate, because I've seen some of the high-profile people you're working for. How's that been? Because you're working for some interesting people now.
Mate, I grew up watching some of these people and dreaming of meeting them. YouTube, for me, was my childhood, like watching people on. I never thought I'd get the chance to meet these people.
So, I mean, now just for the listeners, I've seen you with Jodie Marsh. Who else have you worked with?
So Warwick Davis. We'll be working with Warwick Davis soon.
I saw something on the news about his partner passed away.
Yeah. So I don't know if I should bring this up, but I am weirdly connected to that now, and I want to apologise profusely to Warwick for it, and I have spoken to him, and I think it's fine. But the newspapers ran an article that basically said, after the passing of Warwick's wife, and then my big fucking stupid face on the page, he's working with social media influencer Foxy, the decorator, and I think their angle was, oh look, his wife's only just died, and he's already with this idiot. But this is the thing. What they didn't account for is Warwick has got the most loyal fan base. And this is the thing. When you're not an arsehole and when you're not a dickhead, people love you. And that all the comments said, yeah, good for him. It's good to get straight back into something, focus on something and have a goal in mind. And that's how you get over stuff. That's how you come to terms with things. So good on him. They weren't expecting that, I don't think. I think that what they thought, they were going to start some little fire.
I love that now, though, mate, that mainstream media can be tackled by the average people, because gone are the days where mainstream media is the only place you got your information. Now definitely. People can follow you, they can follow him, they can see the real side of things. And that's the beauty of it now, is that people are actually fighting back against the mainstream media's reporting and going, well, actually, no, you lot are dickheads. You're completely misconstruing that. So fair play.
So back to who I've worked with. I'll have to check, mate, because I can't remember.
Listen, this man's got a list. He's worked with that many celebrities.
No, it's not that. I'm terrible with names. Are you bad with names? I'm awful.
Mate, I'm awful with everything. I've got the memory of a goldfish.
Yeah. So more recently, I can't expose what we did, but I worked with Max Fosh from YouTube.
Okay, I don't know him.
He's massive. But if you're not in the YouTube circle, then you won't know who he is. But he's such a great guy, and his content is so engaging. I almost guarantee you will have seen one of his viral videos, but you just won't know it's him. So I've worked with Jodie. I've worked with the guy from, oh my God, he's going to hate me. 2 pints of lager and a packet of crisps.
Oh,
Will Mellor.
Yeah, Will Mellor. Yeah.
And then there's lots of people in the pipeline. So I think we're doing something with Professor Green soon.
So listen, I mean, don't tell me if you can't tell me, but how does all this come about? Like, why the celebrities? Is this like the collaboration? Like, how does that all come about?
It's strange, mate. Like, you just most of it is you just reach out. Like, the thing is, Warwick Davis was through me, because I actually worked for him as a decorator 5 years ago.
Okay.
And I just never hassled him. I took his, I had his number, and I never contacted him. I think I sent him one text in that 5-year period, just to ask him if there's any, as a business, is there anything that you need doing? And then when this all came about, obviously we're working with brands now, and we can offer people who've got a profile or who, want to collaborate on a job. We can offer them stuff from them brands, not from us. We're not paying for it. They're being sponsored by these brands, and we'll just come and do the work for free and get the content out of it.
Okay.
So, I mean, if we're at our house doing content, we're doing that for free anyway. We may as well do it for somebody.
Yeah.
And it is a bit like, ugh, because, you know, you're leveraging each other's
Listen, mate, whichever way you
each
look at
other's
it,
social following.
it's business.
It's business. But you find that these people, there's a reason that they've got followers, because they're fucking wonderful people. Like Jodie Marsh, mate, I cannot say enough good stuff about her. She's one of the most kind, compassionate, caring people I have ever met in my whole life. She looks after those animals like they are in actual paradise, mate. Yeah, she's such a caring and lovely woman. And actually, even if there was no benefit from it socially, I would still do stuff for Jodie, because also what she does, the charity and stuff as well. If anything that I can do to help her do that, it's a win for me.
I did see a picture of the foxy one with the fox.
Oh, mate, they were amazing. But like, we sat in the kitchen for hours just chatting and playing with the foxes. And the first time I met her, she spent 2.5 hours with me, showing me every single animal that she's got.
Really?
That's how much she cares about them. Like, she wanted to show them off. She wanted to show me every single. And we walked around, we fed them all, we did the night feed, and she showed me every single animal, introduced me to all of them.
That's cool.
2.5 hours, mate. Like, she's a really busy woman, and she took that time to like, yeah. No, she's sound, man. They're all sound. You know, you don't get famous. You don't get a following if you're an arsehole. I mean, you know, some people do, but if you're a nice guy or a nice girl, there's a reason that you've got followers, and that's because you're all right.
It's that thing, mate. Again, isn't it? Where from an outside looking in on somebody else's life, you just get that like, oh, celebrity, and then you forget that they're like real people.
Yeah.
And to a degree, I guess you'll experience the same as that. People just see the social media personality, and they don't see the person underneath with the same struggles and battles as any other human.
Yeah,
you know. So it's nice to hear that side of things.
Yeah. I think the person that I am on social media is as much as, if not slightly less, of who I am I don't put on a performance. Like, I am that like sporadic and silly. So yeah, I don't put on any kind of bravado for the internet. I'm pretty much the same person.
Well, that's why you're popular, mate. That's why, because you can see that.
Gotta be real.
Yeah, exactly that. The realness, and real appreciates real. So
yeah,
as you say, if you want to tune in to a performance and an actor, well, there's television and movies for that. I think social media is much more orientated towards real people, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, mate, you're doing a cracking job. And as I say, you know, what you're doing is doing its part to raise the whole industry as a whole.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'll offer my thanks for that. And again, massive thank you for the effort that you've put in coming in today, being so open, mate, like you have been. I think it's really valuable, mate. It's really valuable. And it helps people realise that, like you said, they're not alone. You know, you've touched on some really deep things and important things.
Yeah.
Before we do wrap things up, is there anything that we haven't spoke about that you want to put into this?
Be yourself, because nobody's better at it than you. That'll be my closing thoughts.
I love that. And Foxy, not that these people probably need to know where, but in case there is anyone listening that doesn't know who you are, where can we find you?
So you can get me on Instagram at foxy.the.decorator. You can get me on Facebook at Kris Fox Devos. All the Foxy names are taken. And you can get me on, what did I say? Instagram,
Facebook.
And TikTok is foxy.the.decorator.
I will put all of Chris's details in the episode description below. I'll put all the links to his socials. Go give him a follow, show him some support. And as usual, like, share, follow, subscribe to the podcast.
Yeah, definitely do that. And my followers, share it, clip it up, share it.
Much love. There'll be plenty of clips coming, mate.
Yeah. Oh, I will say as well, I'll let the people know, you use absolutely anything from this episode, like clip up. Don't ever, I'm a content creator, I know what stuff sticks. Don't think, oh, I don't know if you'll like that. Fucking put it up. Put it up. Yeah, even if it's like slightly, or if it's like a controversial thing, clip it up, put it up, mate. There's no such thing as bad press.
Love it. Well, thank you very much for listening. It won't be long until the next episode, but a quick thank you to our merchandise sponsors, Creative Branding Workwear, who are providing all of my guests with the merchandise they're being sent away with. So thank you to you guys, and thank you to everyone that's listening. I'll catch you soon.
See you in a bit.